Alright, so today I'm going to look at improving the mounting system on the juiced Jetcurrent Pro's rearview mirror. So right now the mounting system is you screw this in and then it has a locking nut. But what happens is when you screw the nut in, it doesn't go quite all the way in, but you screw it to the right and then you lock the rearview mirror in where you want it with the locking nut. But this screws in to the right and then the wind hits it to the left and causes it to loosen up. And since there's only one locking nut, you can't lock it here and lock it here. So what I've done is I've gotten an M8 screw with two M8 nuts, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock it in at the bottom and I'm going to lock it in at the top. That way it doesn't matter how hard the wind hits it, it'll always be locked in place. And that'll fix that issue. So I'm going to use a 50 millimeter bolt. You could probably get away with a 30 millimeter bolt. The bolt that comes with it, I think, is probably about 30 millimeters. It would be a little tight with a 30 millimeter bolt, but you should be able to get away with it. I'm also going to put a little plastic heat wrap on it just to kind of cover up the bolt pattern, the threads, once it's done. It's not really necessary. I'm just doing it to make it look a little better. So I have an M8 bolt with a 1.25 millimeter thread. I'm going to use this heat sink, or this just to kind of pretty it up a little bit. Not really necessary. So I'm also going to use a little bit of blue Loctite. Just to kind of give it a little bit of added stability. So a little blue Loctite. So a little blue Loctite. I'm just going to thread this in here. And it doesn't have to be tight on the bike because you're going to use the nut to lock it in. And then I'm going to do the same thing up here. A little bit of blue Loctite. And Loctite just is kind of like a glue for nuts. It just adds a little extra friction. Now I'm going to take my mirror Screw that on a little bit. So now I'm going to take my mirror. So the mirror and the base of the bicycle are the same size, so I'm going to screw my mirror on. I'm going to get it about where I want it, so where I can see behind me. And once I get it where I want it, and I'm going to hold it in place, and I'm going to screw my lock nut where I want it to stay so that it's tight. So instead of the securing method that comes with the bike, I've switched it to 2 lock nuts to keep it secured. So now it doesn't matter how much wind hits the rear view mirror, it's not going to move. Now, this little plastic piece, is really for electronics. When you solder a wire, it's heat shrink. I'm just using it to cover up the bolt, just to make it look a little nicer. So, but there you go. So now the rear view mirror won't move no matter how much wind there is. And I've got the bolt covered up, and it's secure, looks better, all fixed. So I'll put a link to the M8 bolts. Like I said, I used a 50mm bolt. You could get away with a 30mm bolt, but you're going to not, if you're taller, you're probably going to want it a little bit higher anyway. I like this height. But it looks better. It's way more secure. This is not going anywhere. That's how you can improve on the Jetcurrent's rear view mirror. All right, that's it for now.